What is up there, Workforce? Chris here with WorkToGame, and we have finished up Heavensward, and you are now making it into Stormblood. You are so close to caught up. At the time of this recording, we are preparing to go into Shadowbringers. So as of Stormblood, you did get the ability to unlock Samurai, which is a DPS, Red Mage, which is a ranged DPS, and so you've got a melee and a ranged. That's what we got this expansion, and then you get Blue Mage, which is what's called a limited job. The term limited job means that they don't react in the same way as all the other jobs. They don't have to follow the same rules of the battle system, so it has its own way of leveling. It gains its skills in a really unique way. You have to see a certain enemy cast a certain spell and then kill it, and that's what teaches it to you, and you'll be able to continue on your story starting from the end of your ARR quests and moving on into Stormblood. Now you will get more sightseeing here immediately right out of the gate, and then as with the other expansions, you'll notice a theme with all expansions. What we expect Shadowbringers to do for us is, if we scroll on down here, you'll notice that there was a 51, a 53, a 55, a 57, and a 59. And if we jump over to Stormblood, 61, 63, 65, 67, 69, and we're right back into 70. And so it's very much the same pacing, and you will have a chance to go into the new housing zone, which is in Kugane. Your gatherers get a little more interesting. Fishing has a new like secondary thing where you can spear fish, which is super neat. And then as you move into Stormblood Trials, 63, 67, those are the only two, and then we jump straight into 70s. And then you have your high-end trials getting into extremes, very difficult stuff. And so that will carry you through most of this expansion. You will have Aether Currents once again, so you will need your Aether Compass, or you will need to look that sort of thing up, because you will now have to, just like you did the first ones, you will now have to attune to these zones. I assume the same will be done in Shadowbringers. You will have the new Beast Tribes. At 63, you will have the ability to unlock the Kojin. At 66, you will have the ability to unlock Namatsu. Namatsu are unlike anything we've seen before because they can be done only with crafters and gatherers. So being both Disciple of Hand and Land is really neat. We've seen quests before that I believe it was Disciple of Hand was Mughals and Exali. And so we've seen things like that, but to have hand and land and no battle is really neat, and will hopefully give us a clue into what's going to take place when we rebuild the city of Ishgard this expansion. That's all they've told us, is that we're going to do that. You will have those dungeons unlocked. You'll have your Aethers unlocked. You will also unlock the Ananta at 67. They have multiple mounts. You should absolutely do your Ananta in as often as you're willing. It's a great source of experience for alternate classes, and a lot of times these things drop stuff of various value. I know the Namatsu had different items like Storm Sap that could only be bought through this, and it is really valuable, at least for the duration of Stormblood. As you move into 70, your maps are going to get upgraded. You're now talking about Lost Canals of Uznair, the Hidden Canals of Uznair, and the Shifting Altars of Uznair, depending on kind of what map. And then you have maps within maps. While you're clearing maps, you can get Thief's maps, which take you further into stuff. Those are always underwater. And then you have more custom deliveries. So I'm in this room here, and you'll actually have more people to deliver to. And so that's how you unlock, like, Minago, Kuranai, Adkara, and then the Doman reconstruction process takes place. And so you'll spend a lot of time in this city in basically Rogger's Reach and Kugane instead of Isleshire and Foundation. And so if we scroll down, you'll have Rogger's Reach, and then Kugane. Kugane being the capital city, you can have retainers based here and so on. You'll spend a lot of time there, and you do have the ability to clear all the way up to like I-400 on your gear here before you progress into Shadowbringers. I don't think that's really necessary. If you're wondering when you can carry on, you're probably fine about like 350 plus. It's hard to say since at the time of this recording, Shadowbringers hasn't launched. But if you can get north of 350, you're probably doing okay. And I just wanted to kind of talk about exactly everything that unlocked through Stormblood to finish out this guide series. And so if we go ahead and jump over to Kugane, I'll show you where kind of a couple of things are that you may want to know, because it's a really big city and it's not necessarily super clearly laid out when you first show up there, but it actually is really easy to use long term. Through the purpose of this, your relic took a drastic shift in this expansion, so you moved into Eureka, which was instanced content, and it's its own total separate progression. Your deep dungeon got upgraded from Palace of the Dead to Heaven on High. And so Heaven on High is the new way to kind of level that up. If you kind of wondered exactly how that goes, you actually pick that up at 63 in the Ruby Seas, where you'll be spending time with that. And so here we are. And so your leaves are off to the right. And then actually most of the time you'll be running up over this bridge, and you'll be running down here to where the market board is off to the right with and then your summoning bell is to the left. And then a ton of really great vendors are down this road here. And so within this whole big city, you'll be spending most of your time on this street, if you're just hanging out here. But really cool city, really great expansion, had a lot of fun. It was very, I guess, kind of repetitive with its pacing as compared to Heavensward. Like it didn't really surprise us with its pacing outside of Eureka and Blue Mage. Those are the two things that really caught us totally off guard. And so hopefully with Shadowbringers, we get more surprises like that. Hopefully this helps kind of round out this brief series on everything that you should be unlocking as you should unlock it. You notice that as we get into Stormblood, there's very few like, oh, be sure you grab this, be sure you grab that. It's a lot more like, get your dungeon, get your flying unlocked, get to your new classes, and just move on with your life. And so it gets to be very heavily centered on endgame. Almost all of Stormblood felt like it was centered on level 70 content. There was very little to do outside of level 70 content. And even within the level 70 content, depending on what you're interested in, it may have felt limited to you still. So hopefully at this point, you've gone back and you've tried all the new things in Golden Saucer, because now that we're in Stormblood, we've had things added like Mahjong since then. There's lots of really great things to do in this game, but now it's starting to become a lot more of a question of not what you should unlock and what you should do next, but what do you want to do next? And so now whatever kind of content interests you in the game, there's lots of different kinds of PvP. There's lots of different kinds of PvE. There's lots of different like roleplay and glamour and ways to make money, and crafting and gathering is neat. And there's all of this cool stuff. You just have to decide which part of it appeals to you. So my name is Chris with WorkToGame. Definitely let me know any comments down below, anything that you just don't know where it unlocks or how it works out for you. Keep in mind that Gamer Escape is probably the single best resource for any of that stuff. So I've been including it in links down below for all of these videos. And this is a little series that I wanted to just make sure everybody kind of was aware of what all was unlocked, and just make sure they were like not wondering where a piece of content went or when they got it or how to get it. By the time you're 63, you're starting to swim underwater. You're starting to, move into this world in a different way. And we'll see exactly what the 70 to 80 grind for us has in Shadowbringers. So my name is Chris with WorkToGame. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.
Hey you, especially if you're a new face, welcome to the workforce. If you want to hit that subscribe button to say you like us, we'd really appreciate it. But there's a little bell next to it if you really like a channel, and you can go ahead and hit that if you'd like to be notified. Be sure that if that thing lets you know, hey, do you always want to be notified, or you just sometimes want to be notified, that you tell it, oh man, I actually meant by notified. So why don't you give that a click, and we hope to see you around in our next video.